that again. Good evening. Okay, great. Just making sure Kaviraj hasn't put all of you to sleep. So it's great to see all of you here. Also great to see some long-time friends and well-wishers of IIT Madras as well in the audience, in addition to a lot of people who I'm sure are here for the symposium and have been discussing quite a bit on theoretical computer science. I just wanted to say a couple of words on the origin story of this center. So about a year and a half ago, I was in the US along with Professor Mahesh Panchagnula, who was my predecessor as the Dean of Alumni Relations. And the reason both of us were there was because Mahesh's term was finishing, I was about to take over, and we were doing this visit, meeting alumni who were already engaged with IIT Madras to sort of pass the baton on. And we met one of our alumni who's been a long-term supporter of IIT Madras, Girish Reddy, from the class of 1977. And we were having this discussion with Girish when he suddenly said, "Hey, have you guys met Arvind Rahunathan?" And both of us said, "No, we've not met Arvind Rahunathan, we've not heard of Arvind Rahunathan. Arvind Rahunathan is not on our radar. Who is Arvind Rahunathan?" So Girish then gave us the brief introductory bio, and he said, "Why don't I try to fix up a meeting with Arvind?" Now, we were actually leaving the next day, so we literally had about a half day left. And but luckily, Girish was able to fix up a meeting. Arvind responded, and literally on our way to the airport, we stopped by and met with Arvind. Now, generally, when you meet with an alumnus for the first time, a lot of the discussion is this sort of motherhood and apple pie conversation on IIT Madras, what was it like, and things like that. But we walk into Arvind's office, and Arvind's already got a screen where he's been analyzing IIT Madras's ranking. And what points are we scoring where, and where are we sort of not missing out? And all of a sudden, we went there with the intention of having a very broad conversation. We suddenly got into this very focused conversation on what is IIT Madras, where does IIT Madras stand as far as global rankings are concerned, and what do we need to do to push ourselves up first into the top 100, maybe then into the top 50 and things like this. And one of the things that we instantly agreed upon is that if you really want to punch above your weight as a university, as much as it's important in India today to do a lot of applied work, fundamental theoretical work is what helps universities stand out and gives you that sort of cutting edge, right? And one of the things we both agreed that IIT Madras should do is focus a little bit more on some of the fundamental work that's going on at IIT Madras. Happily, at coincidentally the same time, Shweta and I had a conversation, right? And she had come and we were talking about this center, SciStar, that she was a part of, and she was of course interested in a lot of theoretical computer science related work. So then when I got a chance to touch base with Arvind, talk to him about Shweta Center, Arvind again fortunately came about a year ago, I'd like to say, maybe February or March of last year, met with Shweta, and instantly we all realized this is exactly what we wanted to do, is to create this center that will focus on fundamental work in this very important area that's right at the nexus of mathematics and computer science, because that's where some of the greatest insights are going to come from that will push forward work on whatever it is, cryptography, AI, all of these sort of cutting edge areas that are taking the world by storm. And so in record time, we've actually had a center set up. I mean, it's literally been a year and a half almost to the day when we first had that conversation with Arvind. And we're already here starting up a center, which is unprecedented. Normally, it takes a lot longer to have these kinds of conversations. We're also, so thank you, Arvind, for a couple of things. One is for your generosity, of course. Second is for pushing us to move so quickly. And third, also for pushing us to focus on fundamental science, which I think is at the bedrock of everything else. Applied science comes in once you have good fundamentals. And I've said this earlier, India needs a lot of applied technology and science, but we can't afford to ignore fundamental science. And so we have to find that really nice balance. So anyway, so here we are, a year and a half down the line, and we'll hear a little bit more from Shweta on all the exciting things that the center is going to do. But I think the center will be a game changer. I think we will see radically interesting and different ideas coming out of this center. No pressure, Shweta. No, I'm just sort of committing on your behalf. But knowing the team that's behind this, I think that's a fait accompli. Arvind, also, just so you know, a couple of days ago, the QS rankings for this year have been released. And there are a number of departments from IIT Madras that are in the top 50 in the world. And I will blow my trumpet a little bit, including my own civil engineering. So, your old, and I saw some mechanical engineering alumni. So mechanical engineering is also in the top 50. Electrical engineering, which was your department, and computer science are now in the 50 to 100, but moving up rapidly and will be in the top 50 soon. And if we have all of these top 50 departments, IIT Madras cannot but be a top 100 institution, right? So we're well on our way towards getting there. And this center, I am very clear and very confident, is going to accelerate our motion of that trajectory. So thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And we really look forward to seeing what the center can do. So thank you and welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening. Hi, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to come here and to see all of you here supporting the launch of this center and to see family and friends sitting right up front. It's an honor to have all of you here and working closely with the people at IIT, all the people seated here. They've been extremely supportive throughout helping this launch. Now, I heard the story from Ashwin, and I think when I go back to New York, the first thing I have to do is have a conversation with Girish Reddy for taking this unknown person and making him part with my money. It's the fault of Girish Reddy as well as the fault of Ashwin here, who's extremely persuasive in making me do this gift. So why did I make this gift? Let's look at a quote from the greatest scientist of all time, in my opinion, Albert Einstein. Einstein spoke in German, so it's not an exact translation, exact quote. Essentially what Einstein said was, it is the duty of every human being to put back on this earth the equivalent of what they took from it. I was a person who grew up in India, born, raised in Chennai, went to IIT Madras. I got into IIT Madras at the age of 16, or a little under 16. So it was the most influential place for me. And just on that basis, I felt I had to give back. That's really how it started. So when I start telling you about my life, it's kind of hard to encapsulate all of it in a very brief speech. But Benoit Mandelbrot famously said, again in French, so I'm just translating loosely, something along the lines of, my life appears to be a series of accidents and incidents that have no bearing to each other and a series of random walks. But when I look back upon it, my life seems to have had a great deal of meaning. In other words, there's a pattern to my life. So my life, 100%, was random, wandering about, random incidents. And of course, the theoretical computer scientists will tell you that random walks can often lead to the right place. So my random walk eventually led me here to this place, which is a nice thing. As I said, I started at the age of 16, or a little under 16 when I got into IIT. And here, I was not the best student. I know we have some very brilliant students here, but I was not the best student. I got into the students around me were simply brilliant. I learned so much from them, the professors as well. So I was a double E major, and as I was studying electrical engineering, I realized that that's just not what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be a mathematician. I loved mathematics. But I found here at IIT, at that time at least, there was absolutely no guidance in this. No one ever told me what I should do, what I should study, what I should not, how to move from double E to mathematics, how, there were no centers of excellence. There's no research. I could barely find a professor who wrote papers, technical papers, research articles. The only one, and I think I had a discussion with somebody earlier about it, was my BTech advisor, B. Ganarayana, who I understand now is retired, but there was really so little of it. And really the turning point for me was around the time I was about to graduate, John Hopcroft from Cornell University, who eventually won the Turing Award in 1986, lectured here at IIT Madras. Brilliant lecture on theoretical computer science, explaining what it was. I knew nothing about this topic. So I said, I think that might be what I want to study. And in particular, in that speech, in that talk, he said, the work being done at Berkeley by Professor Richard Karp is simply the most cutting edge that he had seen at that time. So it was still early days. And so I applied to Berkeley. As I said, I wasn't a great student, but somehow I got in. I think Venu here was a big help in introducing me to the right people as well there. So I went to Berkeley. I worked with Karp. I worked with Professor Gene Lawler, who was another brilliant man. Fortunately, died quite early. And really learned the whole thing from them. And not only did I learn computer science and theoretical computer, but I learned how to think. I learned how to think critically. I learned how to be a professional from them. It's just the most extraordinary experience for me. So anyway, I started working on a very difficult problem for my dissertation. I won't even get into the details of it, but I struggled for years, got nowhere. I was wondering if I'll be counseled out saying we don't have money for you anymore, but suddenly I found a simpler problem, or a series of simpler problems, and I solved them all within 3 months. Then out of Berkeley, in the nick of time, I would say. And I got a job at NYU, Courant Institute of Mathematics, Mathematical Sciences. I was a professor of computer science, teaching theory. Didn't last very long. I spent just 2 years. And not because I didn't want to, but really what happened, purely by happenstance, I got hold of a book. The book was called Liar's Poker by Michael Lewis. I don't know if any of you have read it, but it's Michael Lewis's first book. And it's a book set on the trading floor of a Wall Street firm. And it talks about people who make money using financial models and things like that, and all kinds of other stuff. It's a very exciting book. But when I read it, I said I could do the same thing and use models, computer science, mathematics to beat the market, essentially. And I was thinking, should I do it or not? And then I was talking to my wife, and she said, my wife Sri Bala, who many of you, I'm sure some of you at least know very well, she said, I think you'll do very well at this. And she said, not only will you do well, I said, you know, the problem is I wear jeans and t-shirt every day to teach, and you have to wear a suit there, so I don't want to do it. And she said, no, you look good in a suit. So now I'm a suit guy. And so I went and did that, but it's non-intellectual work. It's not the kind of work I was doing at NYU as a professor. I wrote papers, though I wasn't the very best, but I wrote papers with several Turing Award winners. And then here, it's completely non-academic, it's completely non-intellectual. So the only way to keep up with my intellectual pursuits was to read, and I read extensively. I read books on just about everything. I read 40 books a year. I've been doing it now for 30, 40 years. And of course, there are books on mathematics and things like that as well, and physics and stuff like that, but also literature and economics and all kinds of stuff. And what I found when I read it was very eye-opening to me. I found that India was the world's leader in academics, the world's leader in intellectual thought. Our universities, Taxila in Punjab, I've got, what is it, Nalanda, is it? No, in Bihar. These are the world's best. Greeks, Europeans, Chinese people, Asian people flocked to study there. And of course, a lot of it was based on philosophy and religion, Buddhism and things like that, but a lot of it was also mathematics. And here's the interesting thing, India was a world leader in mathematics. So when you think of mathematics, you think of other countries as where the origin is. We obviously do know that the very first time numbers are mentioned, sums, arithmetic is mentioned, is in cuneiform in Mesopotamia. We also know that the ancient Egyptians, when they built the pyramids, used a good deal of mathematics. Geometry, really the formalism starts with Euclid, and there's Pythagoras and things like that. But for our discussion today, the most relevant contribution comes from India. Aryabhatta came up with the place value system, precursor of the decimal system. With Roman numerals and others, you cannot add, multiply, not possible. Most impressively to me was the work of Brahmagupta. Brahmagupta was phenomenal. He really explained how the number 0 should be used, He came up with negative numbers. He came up with the whole notion of the unknown variable in algebra, how to solve linear and quadratic equations. He gave a methodology for how to do it, a methodology. Now, you know how it gets the name algorithm? Brahmagupta's work wasn't worse. It was written down, and I may get this name wrong, it is, some of you may know it, Brahmas Puta, what is it? Brahmas Puta Siddhanta. Brahmas Puta Siddhanta was one of the most profound documents ever written. It went from the Indian king to the Arab people living at that time in Baghdad and those areas, because the Indians wanted to share knowledge. That knowledge, if you go back to what Kant said, is everlasting peace comes through trade and knowledge. That's what they did. And the Arabs made it much more palatable from where this document was. And the document, in the Arabic form, went to Spain and then to Sicily and then became European mathematics. It's called the Arabic numerals, but it's the Indian numerals. And similarly, the person who truly explained it is a brilliant person himself, called Al-Khwarizmi, based in Baghdad. Al-Khwarizmi is how it gets the name algorithm. But really the algorithm was Brahmagupta's. So for this discussion, I feel, theoretical computer science starts, in my opinion, certainly not with Alan Turing, but it starts with Brahmagupta and what he did. So the question is where are we today, India, in these fields? Well, Ashwin spoke eloquently about it. Some of us think that we are making progress, but really in the QS ranking, there's not a single Indian university in the top 100. Today, we'll get there. Give us a few years, right? We're going to get there, but right now there's none. How did we get to this level? I think we have the people, the talent. Today I heard a bunch of people speak. I mean, it's truly brilliant. But we lack investments in our infrastructure, without a doubt. We're one of the weaker when it comes to infrastructure investment. But more than anything else, we don't invest in centers of excellence. We don't challenge ourselves through investment, hoping to be the world's best in academic thought. And that's why we have slipped. But we will obviously get back to where we were once these things happen. So just in contrast, what I wanted to say is the top 100 universities in the world in the QS ranking are mostly what you can expect, usual suspects: United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, and China. Now, China wasn't there a few years ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago, but today it has a number of universities. There's heavy investment in centers of excellence. My professor, Professor Richard Karp, who I said 1985 Turing Award winner, went to visit one of his former colleagues, Andy Yao, who won the Turing Award in the year 2000, in China, and he came back and he told me he marveled. Simply, he said, even in America, they don't treat us this well. And for Andy Yao, they gave him so much money and resources and said, build us the greatest center for theoretical computer science. Now that is what gets you there. Now obviously, I've already parted with some of my wealth, so I don't think I can get you there by myself. But all I can do is, what I did, I think of, is a small step from me, and I hope this will lead to a giant leap for IIT Madras into the rankings. That's really all we can sort of hope for here. Now, in order to achieve this, we need a team. And I thought for myself, what we need is people of high ethics, energy, of course, enthusiasm, intelligence. And I found the team sitting right here at this table. So I wouldn't have really jumped to it within a year and 3 months or whatever it took if I hadn't met Ashwin and Shweta. I thought those are the people I'm going to trust to make this happen, and I think they will. So basically, it's about the future. This gift is about the future. It's about our youngsters. It's not about people like me. It's about all these brilliant minds we have here who should be truly motivated to conquer the deepest, darkest problems, hardest problems, the fundamental truths of this world. That's what academics really should be. And I think You know, it's one day maybe, if I return here in 5 years or 10 years, maybe this gathering will be celebrating not just the launch, but I hope we can celebrate our first winner of the Turing Award, or the Fields Medal, or maybe even the Nobel Prize. After all, Jeff Hinton won the Nobel Prize in physics, even though he's a computer scientist, so it's not anything is possible. So I just leave you with that thought of pure optimism and pure good wishes about the future. And all I can say is thank you all for coming. Thank you for the support. I cannot make anything more happen. It's going to be you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and joining us on this important occasion. It's truly my honor and privilege to welcome you all here. I'd like to express my most heartfelt gratitude to Arvind around the world, so also be much more part of the conversation of which are the important and exciting problems that face us today. And we'd like to do this via themed workshops, a lot of travel of our team and our students to these places, a lot of visitors from these places who will come and spend time with us. We'd like to support student exchange between different places and foster an environment of collaboration and a lot of discussion. We'd like to, through this center, attract some of the strongest researchers to join us, and this we'd like to do at all levels. Faculty, postdoc, graduate students in particular. We've already taken some steps in this direction. And essentially what we're hoping to do is build a global reputation for pioneering contributions to fundamental problems through this center. So these are the aspirations that we have on the global scale. On the national level, we first and foremost want to nurture the outstanding mathematical talent that India already has and contribute to the vision of India emerging as a global leader in theoretical computer science. So we already have in India some really outstanding theoretical computer scientists, many of who are present here today. We've heard some really amazing talks today and we're going to hear more tomorrow. But we need to develop this environment. We need to amplify this effect. Have many more researchers, have much more exchange and get the momentum going much more. We want to build core expertise in certain critical areas of national interest. Now, in particular, since I work in cryptography, one of the areas that I think is extremely important is post-quantum cryptography. And this is something which in India we have a little bit of focus, but a lot of the focus via the National Quantum Mission and so on is on applied security. Right? So we need to focus on developing algorithms and understanding for ourselves what is the quantum hardness of mathematical problems and how does security emerge from that. This is something which is extremely important for national security. We want to fuel the engine of technology with scientific breakthrough. So this is again something that our director spoke about, that yes, India does need a lot of applied work, but the ideas need to come from within the country, right? So we'd like to design the algorithms that create the startups, the products and the technology that faces our society. Of course, we want to reduce and reverse brain drain. This has been happening more and more, but I think it breaks all our hearts whenever we have our talented students leaving. So we'd like them to leave but come back, or we'd like them not to leave. We'd like them to participate much more in this building the environment here, contributing to the environment here. And we'd like to partner with other strong national institutions and create a strong synergistic effect. So here in particular, I think there's no better place than Chennai. We already have some really outstanding institutes like CMI, IMSC representatives are here today. And together with this center and initiatives that these institutions are also taking, I think there is no reason why we can't build like a really world-class environment for theoretical computer science, touching upon different aspects of theoretical computer science, right here in Chennai. At the institute level also, I think there are important things that we can do. So IIT Madras, as everybody knows, is famous for applied science, technology, startups, translational research, right? We have this amazing research park and all that is fantastic. But can we do more, right? So similarly, we're also famous for our exceptionally strong undergraduate program. This is something that anywhere you go in the world, people always ask you about. And again, that's great and that should continue. But can we do more? So in particular, can we create a name for ourselves that we're as good or even better, of course, at fundamental science? Can we create a name for ourselves that we're even as good or better for our MS and PhD program? Because the graduate program, the MS and PhD program, this really is at the heart of, research. Everybody here knows that, right? That it is by nurturing the graduate program that we create true scientific value. And this is what fuels sort of the scientific breakthroughs and the scientific culture and environment in the country. So we'd like to create a name for ourselves on this count. And we've launched our website. So it's artcs.iitm.ac.in. This is an older version of the slides. I had the name there. But anyway, so it's artcs@IITM. You can also Google for it. It's now searchable between yesterday and today. And that's all I had to say. Please join us. Join us at, wherever you are. If you're a student who's excited about theoretical computer science, we have so much activity here. Please write to us, talk to us, come and be part of our program. If you're a postdoc or you're a researcher, come and spend time with us. If you're a faculty or a faculty candidate, please come and join us, be part of our team. Whatever capacity you work in, right? If you're excited about theoretical computer science, we'd love to have a conversation with you and we'd love to partner with you in taking this thing forward. So on that note, I'd like to thank all of you once again and let's hope for the best. Thank you.